I decided that this is the last video that I'm going to post on this channel. I mean, what's the point? Um, I'm glad that I helped a couple of people, and they've told me, um, but I mean, now the point that I've put enough information out there that people are simulating me. So, especially Autumn Ridge, Barrett Properties, Premier Property Management, um, and then a simulator that was buried at Countryway. I watched them bury it. Um, USIC buried it, or no, US. What is the name of it? USIC? Yeah, or no, I forget the name of the darn company. UCSIC, UCIC. Anyway, the cable company that's well known around here with the blue and white trucks, blue, white, and gray. Um, they buried a simulator. I watched them do it. um, I'm just, sick of trying to help others, but my family stuff just keeps, I don't think there's a worldwide conspiracy. I just think I piss people off. I don't put up with anything. And if people are not kind and they're abusive or predatory, I go against them. And it pisses people off. Um, sometimes I can piss people off, and I don't move. If I'm committed to something, I don't move. That used to piss people off in the Navy. If I'm committed to a mission at hand, I won't be moved. And if somebody, wants to throw people to the wind and, throw people under the bus, I won't do it. I'll refuse to do it. Actually, I'll try to interfere. I have several times when I was in the Navy, people getting thrown out, try to talk to them, try to find a way that I can interfere or find a way to motivate them to, change the dynamic by changing something about themselves. I did it numerous times. Um, but it just seems that whenever I try to do something for my family, especially that improves us medically or improves us financially, somebody finds a way to screw it up. And I'm sick of it. I hate Saginaw. Um, I know I can't judge all people in a city. Certainly can't judge all people, in a race or in a religion. But I hate this place. All the stuff that has happened to us, and people, that move away from here, they may get a job somewhere else. That's how I explain people screwing with us in other localities. Um, because I know what they do. Work at Morley for 2 to 3 years, get stable here, and then they disseminate from there. If you have a local hookup in the community, you go to the right church or you're part of the right group, then you may get a house here. But not a lot of people stay here in their houses very long. Usually they end up destroyed and then they're abandoned. I don't understand the logic in that, but having lived here for almost 10 years, I know what I see. Um, and I can't figure that out, why somebody would allow their house to be destroyed and then abandon it when people give a lot of these houses rent to own, or they help people get a loan. I don't understand that. But we see them every couple weeks. We'll see another 4 or 5 houses so destroyed and there's no longer cars there. And then within 6 months to a year from that, we see the plywood go up. And then we start to see things sag. And then within a year from that, sometimes less, all of a sudden we'll see it getting demolished. Um, because that 20 or 30 million That's one thing that Saginaw is keeping in their back pocket. That's one thing, even though they use other tax revenues or other uh, block grants and such to do things like build a new city hall instead of helping people or improving the community or filling a damn pothole with good quality asphalt. Um, anyway, that being said, or giving some more money to law enforcement because the invasion of electronic crime here and the amount of crime that's happening under the noses of law enforcement because they don't have the money to investigate everything, or hiring cops that are preferential based on what City Hall says. Yeah, it's a pretty horrible place. It's the attitude and the people, their apathy towards crime and corruption, and then it seems to attract people like that. That's the ones who stay here. Uh, but this 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 fiasco with TDIU, and you know, reading more and more and more into case law, more and more into VA memorandums and VA policy. Um, I should have been on TDIU years ago. The more I'm reading, the more I'm seeing I am just getting screwed over. Yeah, the more I'm reading, it's supposed to be policy when a veteran is unemployed and there's 60% plus, and one issue or multiple issues 70 plus. The TDIU process is supposed to be automatic, just like I keep saying, but the VRNE denied it, and the people that I have to talk to at the Saginaw VA, they say, "Oh no, you have to file. We don't do anything." Um, I mean, of course, most of them aren't comp and pen, but comp and pen has never been helpful anyway. Every time I go up there, the ladies that work comp and pen, not the receptionist, the ladies that work comp and pen, they just close the door. They don't like to answer questions. But I should have been on TDIU a long time ago. People, the minute that the VA knows that you have multiple service issues that are significant, significant rating, and if you're unemployed, it's supposed to be an automatic process. The VA issues it internally, and they do the TDIU internally. They start the process, and then they call the veteran in for the comp and pen exams. It's supposed to be automatic. The more and more I read, not when you're being imprisoned. You're being financially imprisoned somewhere. I hate the VA. You know, yeah, I've experienced more in my life people making promises that they don't keep than I ever did in foster care, or being a ward of the state for almost 4 years in foster care. Um, after after being, you know, steamrolled even for that. My first attorney, oh, I loved my first attorney. He was Jewish and Catholic, and and when they put me in foster care, the family issue, the alleged delinquency, which my attorney said there's nothing there. He said, your mom is overreacting about, you going off into the woods or going hiking and stuff, and all brothers have fights and get along. Um, He's like, you did, a significant job when she's working or, um, in a rehab facility or staying out with her significant other at their place and stuff, raising your brother. And he said, we're going not guilty. And he was removed from my case. And I was given an attorney, still a nice guy. I mean, I liked him, but he told me to do no contest. He walked right in and said, do no contest. You know, where the fuck did that come from? Excuse my language. I'm trying not to cuss. Where the freak did that come from? But anyway, even more than then, I have experienced so many promises from myself and my family, and nothing happens. And when we find, a way to better our life, somebody screws it over. But yet, people in Saginaw that are part of extremist ideology groups, mind it, whatever one it is, racial or QAnon, they seem to do great. But people like me that, won't be involved in a movement, I believe the light within me is what should guide my actions. I'm not saying I like groups. I like the Knights of Columbus. I like the Masons. I like Libertarian Party. There's groups that I like, but I'm not going to let a group, define and tell me how to think or how to act, or to perform, a single action in their name. I won't do it. My only thought is for God, my family, and my country. Maybe I should have been a Marine. But that being said, I'm not gonna, it's not like I'm dying or anything like that. I just don't see the point anymore. This channel originally, when it was started, remember I deleted everything after the 2020 election, which I shouldn't have. Or not, I mean the 2024 election, which I shouldn't have. I mean, who cares? Who cares? I'm back to the same point I was before, because the Trump administration and his supporters have done so much to my family, a lot more than Democrat would-be's have done, a lot more. And I don't like how the Republicans and how Trump are treating veterans, trying to shortchange veterans so we pay for each other's benefits. I don't think that's right. When we're signed the contract, the money should be allocated to the VA for our future. We're not a bargaining chip, you son of a bitches. I'm sorry, I just did it again. We're not a bargaining chip, you son of a beaches. Well, so I won't have videos anymore. I don't even know if I'll keep these videos up. There was another like 200 videos that I deleted somewhere around there, maybe not 200, but a significant amount of videos that I deleted prior to 2024, or actually after the election. But I should have kept them because I'm back to the same point. I always try to get back in the Trump train, then I always end up stepping off. But it's not like I did it with other trains too. There's times I disagree with the Biden administration too. But I 100% agreed with how they took care of veterans and some other things. The direction the Republican Party is going makes me sick to my stomach. They try to pretend they're patriotic, but they're not. They're manipulating people. They're manipulating their image and how they treat veterans. They're becoming very manipulative. That makes me sick to my stomach. trying to manipulate the rhetoric, the public image, look like they care about veterans by standing up for catastrophic, veteran care, which is great. But all of us are together, which shows there's a lot of people in Congress who are Republican that are not veterans. I don't care if somebody lost a limb or if somebody has PTSD. They're all my brothers and sisters. I don't see a difference. So that being said, hopefully, I helped a few people, but I mean, it's no point anyway because somebody in Autumn Ridge, and I'm sure management knows, is simulating us. I'm sure they know the amount that office screws with my daughter and I. They know we're being simulated. They know people have hacked our phones. That's why we keep getting the same dang call center every call. And if I call people, individuals, we always go to voicemail. I know I'm being simulated. But yeah, it's no point to continue with this. It's supposed to be a channel where my daughter and I, have adventures around Michigan or other states, and that we, do ratings for playgrounds and parks for, single parents from a single parent perspective. But it never happened because people in Saginaw, city of Saginaw and Buena Vista, the neighborhoods we live, people keep vandalizing our cars. So it never happened. Don't move here, folks. I tell you with the earnest of heart, don't move to Buena Vista Township or Saginaw because people are protecting, targeting behavior and predatory behavior. And people, in my experience, will more quickly protect a child molester than they will a veteran's family. And I'll say that in court because we experienced it. We experienced somebody living in a complex who was a convicted criminal, CSC3, I believe it was, and they gave him a job. They protected him, never told us who he was. He came in our house. I'm not saying he's not changed and repented and a different person. Maybe he's even made, given justice to his victims. But what I'm saying is the fact is, on my side, all the crap we've endured here, they never did anything, but they protected him. They even gave him a job for 2 years. So don't move to Saginaw. I don't think there'll be a federal investigation here because there's too many QAnoners who Trump protects, and when Biden was in office, there's too many Democrats here he protected. So you get it both sides of the aisle here. I wouldn't move here. I would move to some place that's pragmatic, hopeful. People are civil of all backgrounds. They're civil to each other. People have barbecues together. No, I know I may be talking like some kind of Disney-esque type environment, but there's neighborhoods that are really friendly and people really get along and they watch out for each other. I grew up in one. It's not here.